that Martonio may have left on his own, as his mother indicated it wasn't the first time he had gone missing.
The missing is an 8-year-old male black, and he was last seen about 9:30, 10 o'clock last night when everybody went to bed. Mom woke up this morning around, what time did she say? About 11:45. Noticed that, her one son was gone. The rear door on the house was open. Mom says he has done this several times before. Mom is hysterical, and son does take medicine for ADHD. Didn't notice anything suspicious. I did clear the house. Didn't notice any suspicious things inside the house. No signs of forced entry. And I got units circulating the area right now for the juvenile. He's a little unruly, and there is a caseworker, and she's like, he probably got mad because she doesn't give him what he wants. So, and then he kind of has a habit of doing it.
The officer begins a door-to-door search, questioning neighbors to see if anyone has seen Martonio. He hopes that someone in the area might have spotted the young boy or noticed anything unusual that could provide clues about his whereabouts.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen him at all recently?
No, sir.
No? Thank you. See him recently? No? All right. No, he ran away. Hey guys, how are you? I want to see you guys. See this kid? Come over here. I want to see you seen him recently.
Huh?
Missing.
Oh, it's a kid. Oh,
yeah, missing a kid. You seen him recently?
Oh, he scared me. Is that the only picture?
Yeah, that's the recent one. Have you seen him recently?
Show him.
No? Alright.
He missing from what color?
The yellow one right
How old
there.
is he?
8.
What's his age?
Yeah, so if you see him,
Let me see that picture again.
Y'all check the park? I mean, how long have you
we
been
got, since last night.
last night?
So yeah, we got units checking parks, and
Hey,
so,
you seen him, Kim?
you haven't seen him since this morning at all?
Doesn't look like the little boy that be over here.
He had
sometimes.
camo pants on and a black shirt, like camo sleeping pants.
So, Ken, the
She-
little
she
boy
didn't-
done been out here, ain't he?
When was that?
Yeah, he looks familiar.
You got a single parent?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, but
Does he got a green bike?
He got a green bike?
Yeah, because if he got a green bike, I
he's
know
not on a bike
that's
right
my
now.
friend.
What does he have? Because I didn't see that little boy out here.
Yeah.
Boy,
I mean, if you see
I
a
saw him.
kid in camo pants, sleeping pants, just calls.
Camel sleeping pants
And a black shirt.
I saw him in a black shirt.
So
He
just
was
call
right past there.
911 and
911's
find
fine.
the kid.
Yeah.
See, Ken, that's why I be on y'all. The street lights coming on with your ass to the house.
By nightfall, authorities made a chilling discovery. After searching the neighborhood and issuing a missing persons alert, they initiated a K-9 search. Meanwhile, Wilder and Lowe left the house with Martonio's 9-year-old and 3-year-old siblings without informing the police of their whereabouts. When officers couldn't locate Wilder, they obtained a search warrant for the home. It was then they uncovered the gruesome scene. The body of 8-year-old Martonio Wilder hidden in the attic, wrapped in a trash bag and covered with a sleeping bag. The coroner's report revealed a deep compression mark on Martonio's neck, suggesting possible strangulation. Autopsy photos showed bruising around his eyes, nose, and mouth, along with cuts on his face and back. There were also signs of brain bleeding, and his body appeared unusually thin. The coroner ruled his death a homicide. The following day, LaShonda Wilder surrendered to authorities, and shortly after, Jonna Lowe also contacted the police and willingly turned herself in when officers arrived at her relative's home.
Hi there. Got some guard dogs in there. Okay, come on out. You miss Lowe? Okay. I'm gonna put your hands behind your back, palms together like you're praying. I'm gonna detain you in handcuffs, okay? You got shoes on, dear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Step over here with me.
All right.
I'm gonna go right over here. We're actually gonna put you in here with these officers, okay?
Okay.
Tell them I'm not no harm.
Yeah. She's being cooperative. Do you mind switching out cuffs with me?
Yeah, I got you.
As well, just face this way.
I'm not no harm.
Copy. What's your clearance on E16 and Brooks? Copy.
There's keyholes on both sides. It's just on the bottom. Well, what we're going to do is we're not going to ask you really any questions. That'll be for the detectives, okay? Here, do me a favor, bend over at the waist. We got to get these bottom set of handcuffs off.
Like this?
Yep, and then spread your hands as much as you can. That way it's a little more comfortable for you. Yeah, the ASP handcuffs, they've got keyholes on both sides. Yeah, they're nice. And they double lock just by pressing them up. Yeah. Will you do me a favor? Will you contact detectives, see if they want us to do anything with the house rather than just take her down?
Yes, sir. I call homicide.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm about to not be doing anything. Just watch the house. I'll take care of it. What's that? No, it's 931. It's this one right here.
While the officer made a call, shouting could be heard from Lowe's relative's home. Another officer's body cam video captured her relatives yelling at the police, demanding that they leave.
He's on our board, and they said he will fight every single time.
He looks like he's in fight.
Oh, he is. I don't know if homicide wants us to hold this house or not.
That's what
I think Sarge is on the phone with him right now.
What's up, bro?
They're not here for you. They're not here for you.
Man, what's up, bro?
No one's here for you.
What's the problem? What's up, bro?
I'm Sergeant with Columbus Police. Hey, so here's what's going to happen, okay? We need Miss Lowe's cell phone. If somebody's okay, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Hey guys, I'm still talking, okay? What's going to happen is I need everybody to leave the house because you have to immediately exit.
What are you talking about? And my kid here, what are you talking
You can go in a car.
Man,
Plus one night.
No! He ain't do nothing! Stop! Roll your stomach down! I can't! Roll over! Roll over! I can't! Put your hands behind I can't! What I do?
You're under arrest.
I'm under arrest!
You don't grab an officer's taser. What's wrong with you? You do not grab something on our belt.
Man, you...
What's wrong with you? They're reaching in your pants. Get your hands out of your pants.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
Let's get her to the car.
I can't breathe!
Let's go. Put her in ours. Spread your feet, please. Ma'am,
Your car!
ma'am, can you please spread your feet for me?
I got
We got to make sure. Can
Well,
you spread your feet? Can you check her, please?
freaking fantastic.
You don't have anything on you, correct, ma'am?
Nah, but my pants up and you took my walk.
Yep, we can't let you reach into your stuff right now. Keep your feet spread for me, dear.
Bro, no, my arms, I can't.
Okay, hey, listen, you calm and cooperate and I'll fix your arms.
No, I can't. My
Here.
collar's be broke.
Okay, here.
I can't.
You straighten your arms for a second. Let me fix these. You could be chill, we'll be chill with you. Let me fix them. Yep, here, calm down. Breathe. Here, stand up straight. Okay, here.
I can't.
You know how you sit, keep standing up straight, take deep breaths.
I can't. No,
Okay, hold still so we can fix your cuffs.
Yeah,
We gotta fix your cuffs, dear.
Well, y'all arrested me?
Yes.
What?
Right now you're arrested for obstruction of business and also we'll talk about you trying to take an officer's taser off of him.
I was
That's
going
also-
down, so I was pushing him back.
Dear, you were grabbing onto my taser on my taser.
I wasn't
It's a felony, so we'll talk about that. Go ahead and take a please. Yep, take a seat
Hold
for me,
on.
dear.
Get in the
Take a
car.
seat. Here, stand up.
Oh.
You're an adult. Stand
Why
up.
would you push me?
Hey, take a
Get
seat.
in the car. Why
Take
would
a
you
seat.
push me?
Just take a seat.
Hold on.
Yep. Look, you're doing good. Good job. Go ahead and take that seat for me. We'll get everything done for you.
I never been in jail.
Hey, somebody else? Yeah.
I had a level 4.
Okay, yeah. Get all them back to the sub. We're working on the paperwork for that. You want to get what's that?
You good? Did she? I was trying to rip her hand
I just
off.
looked and she's just doing this, and I just went.
Both of her legs were like twisted around yours, and I was trying to grab her legs
Yeah.
off. This is not working.
Both of Lowe's relatives were temporarily detained. Meanwhile, Lowe, already seated in the back of the squad car during the commotion, appeared to cooperate with the officers before being taken to jail, giving her consent for the process. The officer reassured the remaining family members that the two individuals were being detained only to de-escalate the situation. He assured them they would be released once they were cooperative.
Hey, with her giving us consent to take the phone, we no longer have to residents. Okay, we are going to have these two individuals with us for just a little bit before they make it back home, okay? As long as they cooperate, they're not going to jail. Okay.
Are y'all gonna take the handcuffs? Because my twin got a broken collarbone.
You got a broken collarbone?
Yeah. Right here.
Okay.
Right here. She could die.
It's going to be a little more comfortable to have that in the front, I would imagine. We'll have them move them to the front as long as
Okay.
she's cooperative.
Yeah, right here.
sir, or
No, it's code 4. We just got the phone we needed. Okay. We're going to have them back here in a little bit. They're going to be with us for a little, and then we'll be back around.
Yeah, they
okay?
just mad because our officer, she ain't did nothing.
I understand. It's everybody's heated.
Yeah, we
So,
upset.
yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yep, I understand. I'm sorry.
I think Trump is. I think Trump is narcissistic. I think he's just self-interested.
Hassan, how can
you ask me?
Asking someone like me, how can you ask someone like me or the average voter to believe that when I think he's quite literally the only president in U.S. history who left the office poorer than when he entered.
Yeah, he's really bad at business. Like it's not even funny. I'm been a Democrat my entire life until today. Trump's America over Biden's America, and it's not really close. No, FaZe Banks, we lost him. We lost FaZe Banks, dude. We lost him. We were tricked into believing if we voted for Trump last election, we were bad people. Not again. At least not me. Sorry. I'm looking strictly at the facts. Fact is, inflation is at an all-time high. The US dollar has lost nearly 20% of its buying power in the last 4 years. I cannot express how alarming and scary this is. And for the first time in US history, the next generation of Americans will most likely be worse off than we were. First of all, no, that's not the first time in the next generation of Americans will be most likely worse off than we were. What? Brother, you're in the generation that is worse off. Like, you individually are not worse off than your parents, but like our generation is already worse off than our parents in terms of, you know, not being able to retire, not being able to buy a house, that kind of thing. Illegal immigration has gotten so bad that even people furthest on the left have conceded it to being a major issue. You have Kamala Harris in 2024 before GTA 6 talking about building a wall at the southern border. I rest my case on the Kamala Harris border initiative, by the way, right there. Yeah, I told you. Dudes who spell border with an A, gonna see Kamala Harris be like, oh, I'm the border candidate. And they're gonna go, okay, well, I guess I'll just go with the border guy instead. Listen, man, I understand the average dude, okay? I, in many respects, am an average dude. I hang out with average mindset dudes all the time. Please understand when I tell you, when Kamala Harris goes out and is like, I am the border czar, I am the border police, people are going to be like, oh, Like, even she's agreeing that the border is a problem. I remember vividly this being one of the left's biggest talking points, pushing Trump's racist narrative before he was even elected. Now, all of a sudden, 8 years, 10 million people crossing the border. Oh my God, he wrote border with an A again. Everyone is also on the same page. Now it's a problem. It's just one of many examples demonstrating the Democratic Party's glaring hypocrisy. Trump's the first president of recent history where there were no new wars started during his term. Between Russia and Ukraine and everything else that's happening in the Middle East is looking like World War III is right around the corner. Democrats have become the party of censorship. Democrat has become the party of censorship, twisting words and winning at all costs. Several attempts have been made against Donald Trump's life and never to silence them. JFK and Abraham Lincoln were murdered because they were atypical politicians. Wait, what? JFK and Abraham Lincoln were murdered because they were atypical politicians that challenged the powers that be. America first, food for thought. Okay, Ronald Reagan survived an assassination attempt. This doesn't mean anything. What is going on? Typically, I wouldn't care one way or another, but this seems to be the most important by far election of my lifetime. Dude, they're so libbed up, dude. Yo, Republicans are so libbed up. This is why I still don't think Trump is going to win, by the way. Because, like, this message is so... This is the most important election of our lifetime. If you phase the up, you got to vote for Donald Trump. Oh, my God. No, this is not satire. Also, I don't think he's going to end up voting. Watch the most recent Joe Rogan podcast featuring Elon Musk, both historically Democrat, for more information as to why. Notice Trump/Vance's willingness to answer questions in the total silence on the side of Harris/Waltz. Again, food for thought. Okay, can I just say, FaZe Banks' entire summarization is everything I've told you about a specific type of guy. A guy, I wasn't referencing him when I was talking about like my apolitical voters who are like low propensity voter friends. Like, but he fits that bill so perfectly. Okay? Kaya, you know it's place time, baby. The hell is this? I don't care, still face up. Oh, me too, brother. Please, whatever decision you make, ultimately, just please make the decision to vote. Oh my God, he's so libbed up. He's saying like, no matter who you vote for, just vote. I'm done with this country, bro. What Elon Musk, Beyonce, or Taylor Swift have to say, at the end of the day, we're all rich. And we'll be fine. Wait, what do you mean we're all rich, bro? Is he just talking to other members of FaZe? Like, can you survive in America where milk is $20 a gallon? That's the question to ask yourself. Austin is freaking out about the FaZe Banks endorsement right now. Dude, oh my God. The FaZe Banks endorsement is pivotal. It's shocking the world. I mean, it's not very shocking, but it still has a tendency to shock the world. All right, I'm calling him right now. Convert our brother? No, I will not be. I mean, I'm going to talk to him about it. I'm going to pick his brain, but I don't think I can convert him. Oh, he said 2 seconds. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
Is this better?
It's better. It's better.
Because the call answered on my phone and my laptop at the same time. What's good? How are you?
I'm good. We have the... Oh, wait. I can hear myself. I don't know why. Okay, now I don't hear myself. Okay. I'm good. I was literally about to be done with the stream, but then I got your text message, and as someone who has been phasing up for as long as I've known myself, I was shocked. I wouldn't say I was shocked necessarily about your endorsement, but I was a little distraught personally. Connor Eats Pants wanted you to know that there are people out there who are still pro FaZe and pro Kamala Harris.
That's amazing. I'm happy that we live in that version of America.
Yeah, he said, please remind him I love FaZe Clan and Kamala. We exist. That's what he said.
I'm obsessed with Connor. I love you. Unironically got you an American flag for your birthday. Don't know if you remember that Rick Owens flag.
I do remember. It used to be behind me, but we moved it away. But I got to bring it back now. Now it's even worth more because it's been given to me by a real American patriot.
FaZe Banks.
Yeah, there's some people in the chat that are saying they lowered their FaZe symbol for a second when they saw you endorse Donald Trump.
Listen, that's okay. Listen, let me preface all jokes aside. Let me just preface all this by saying never in a million years did I think I'd be on a Hassan live stream talking about politics. I'm not a political guy. The entire time we've known each other for how long now?
It's been years. Right? Yeah,
years. And I don't think we've ever touched base on anything in the world of politics. I'm not one to even like get out and go vote or endorse one side or the other either way. Typically don't give a And when it comes to like dabbling in like coming to like my own conclusions and consuming like political content, it's typically via, and I know this is gonna kill you, but Destiny, yourself, typically like I find it more interesting to watch like the more like left leaning.
So it seems like neither of us were able to convince you.
I'll like dabble in like Charlie Kirk and stuff too, but again, preface like the fact that I think his views and like his take on like abortion and stuff like that are insane. I think he's like a little too like God Christianity heavy. That's just like my like general like normie.
No wrong answers. No wrong answers in this situation. I'm just
my biggest thing for you and how I came to this conclusion is really this. It's just like, again, like I said in the tweet, it's just there are some like glaring like hypocrisies on the left that I've noticed over I guess the biggest thing, like the biggest takeaway from that tweet, I would say, and like how I feel is just duped and like tricked. Obviously the left played heavily into like identity politics and took a more like emotional like stance and angle, all things considered, I would say.
What do you mean by that?
Like just like you know what I mean, like the narratives, like I said, the narrative of Trump being a racist, because
you don't think Trump is a racist?
Before he was even elected, I don't think that Trump's a racist for the reasons that are typically like pushed via the left. No, I don't.
Like what do you like, as in?
I don't think Trump's any more racist than Joe Biden is.
Okay, I don't. Well, to be fair, I don't fully disagree with you. I think that Donald Trump is individually a racist and was just as racist at the time when Joe Biden was like writing racist legislation in the early 90s and the 80s. I mean, he took an ad calling for the execution of the Central Park Five in the New York Times. His real estate properties that him and his father owned have been routinely investigated by federal authorities like far before he ever became a television personality, listen, for like not housing black people.
All these 4 points and specific examples you give me, there'd be always somebody on the right who would give me an equal number of bullet points and examples as to why Joe Biden's more of a racist.
No, I'm not telling you Joe Biden's not racist. I think Joe Biden.
That's what I'm saying though. As far as like the racist narrative, I would say it's a zero-sum game where that narrative is pushed heavily by the left.
Also, Biden is not running for president right now. It's Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris is, and Kamala Harris just sat in office as the vice president for 4 years.
But that's just what vice presidents do, really. It's not really it's more so a symbolic position.
That must be what Joe Biden did too, because Joe Biden can't even stand up straight.
I don't even disagree with that.
Joe Biden knows who's running for president right now. So in that case, who the is the president? Who's running shit?
So in many instances, I think, and Trump is a little bit unique on this, but in many instances, I think like people don't just simply vote for the person; they vote for the administration. And oftentimes, it's not like George W. Bush is a great example of this. Like George W. Bush was a Republican, right? And he was a overall dumb guy, and he was basically like the shadow president under his administration was Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was basically running the entire show. But the president can sometimes be basically just a figurehead that is the placeholder for the administration, the entirety of the administration, the people that he hires. I think that.
So then, in that case, what does any of it matter, right? I guess I would say it's kind of the same.
Well, when you advocate for a president, I think
kind of a zero-sum game at that point.
No, I think when you advocate for a president, you're definitely advocating for not just the individual themselves, but you're advocating for the legislation that the president is going to advocate for, and also the agencies.
Again, that's why in my tweet I highlighted inflation and border security as border with an A security as heavily as I did.
So
again, it's crazy to me because Hassan, I know you were obviously there. This is your whole livelihood and your whole career is rooted and based in politics. So obviously you were there through it and you consumed a lot more of it than somebody like I would.
Yeah, and I was very critical of Kamala Harris's decisions and also the Biden administration's decisions, especially when it comes to right-wing border, all the right-wing border stuff that they were talking about. As a matter of fact, something that you pointed out in your tweet the perceived hypocrisy of the Democratic Party saying that Trump is racist for a border wall, and then continuing to try and fund a border wall themselves, and then claim Trump is the hypocrite for not pushing for the border wall because it's the Democrats advocating for it. That is actually double hypocrisy. Like, Trump is being hypocritical for saying, I don't want that border bill to pass through because I don't want to give the Democrats a W on this. But you're right. The Democrats are being hypocritical when they say that.
And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a huge pro-Trump guy. And in terms of like dividing the country in half and just like being pretty bad in terms of like how, you know, just general morale and the way that people interact with each other, conversations like this happening. I think Trump is probably the worst president in history. But
so you're saying he's more divisive? Like, Trump has created more divisiveness in the country?
I don't think necessarily by his own fault or that's his own intention. But again, he's been demonized from the left in the like the traditional media since before he was elected. Like you just said, the general response to his build the wall, remember that mantra, build the wall before, I'm pretty sure that was his slogan before even MAGA was a thing, right? This is very, very early. And these were like the earliest conversations where the opposing side claimed that was a racist thing to say, was to build a wall. You want to build a wall, you don't like Mexicans.
Yeah, personally said it was racist and stupid, and then she advocated to build
Kamala Harris in an interview a week ago was talking about how we need to build more wall. 8 years later.
I agree with you. I think it's unimaginably hypocritical. If you ask me what my
this guy had to endure 8 years of being labeled, bastardized, demonized, called a racist. And it's a snowball, right? It starts with that, and then one thing leads to another, and it becomes his entire brand that's pushed by traditional media and by the left, right? For 8 years, and then the left, it becomes such an issue. 20 million people crossing the border later. Now it's undeniably an issue.
That's also not true. Those numbers aren't
How much
correct.
is it? What was it last year?
I don't know what the exact number of like border apprehensions or border crossings are, but the border apprehension number is not necessary in this conversation.
A lot more than Trump.
Yeah, a lot of that is immigration overflow from COVID, but like once post-COVID, once the post-COVID border shutdown was put aside, a lot of people that were waiting.
I'm sure there's like a fluffy, nice way to frame, like a left way to frame it.
No,
like,
I'm not giving you a left-wing framing. I'm just telling you exactly what happened. I am not in favor of Kamala Harris's border policies at all. I just want to be clear. I'm certainly not in favor of Donald Trump's border policies. I think they're racist, and I think that they are silly. And the reason why I think they're racist and silly, if you don't mind me explaining, is because the idea that undocumented migrants constitute a threat to America is the underlying premise for why we need a wall, right? We need to secure our nation, right? That's the idea, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that premise is false. Undocumented migrants are directly contributing to the American economy in incredibly meaningful ways. Undocumented migrants actually put more into our tax revenue than they take out. They are not able to take advantage of our social safety nets. They pay into Social Security. They can't take out of Social Security. They are not a burden They're not a burden on the economy. They're actually greatly beneficial to the American economy. And not only that, but also Donald Trump takes it one step further, and he lies all the time. And I'm very upset with the Democratic Party for allowing Donald Trump to lie on this issue and even concede to this lie. The idea that immigrants constitute a national security threat, that immigrants are bad and scary and they're rapists and they're murderers. These are the types of things that Donald Trump says regularly. If you've ever listened to his rhetoric on the matter, he'll often say this thing that is just completely false. He'll say, undocumented migrants kill hundreds of thousands of Americans a year. I'm sure you've heard this before from him. Have you?
I do think that the right wildly exagerates like the impact that undocumented immigrants have on the U.S.
It's not even a wild exaggeration.
That's not to say I don't think it's an issue though. I think again, like your framing of it, for every bullet point you can. I'm not going to pretend to be like an expert on the economy and all the moving parts of the economy and how immigrants.
No, I have debated this issue with right wingers, including I've debated this issue with the right wingers. They're just wrong.
There's going to be points on the right side.
No, right wingers do try to put counterclaims against what I'm saying, but my information is not coming from like, my information isn't like cherry pick data. It's just, coming from the Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Patrol data. So it's not like, there's a lot of studies conducted on this.
Speaking of government, actual government data, and speaking of immigrants, another point that I saw highlighted on the Joe Rogan, Elon Musk interview that was just had was the relocation of immigrants, undocumented immigrants, specifically to swing states. And Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, who have historically been Democrats throughout the majority of their lives, are now
people's attitude changes throughout time.
For
That's
sure.
normal.
I'm just making it a point because it's an interesting point to make. They seem to think that this could be like the last real election that we have, just because of all the all of the undocumented immigrants being located, like flown in via airplanes to swing states.
So what they're talking about is actually really funny for a couple different reasons. One, because Elon Musk was an undocumented migrant originally, and he lied on his immigration forms. So technically, he is directly the actual party that is doing the crime that he's accusing others of. But beyond that, the idea that undocumented migrants are being purposely flown to swing states is completely incorrect. But even if it was correct, it still wouldn't matter. And the reason why it wouldn't matter is because undocumented migrants cannot vote. Undocumented migrants cannot vote. It's illegal for undocumented migrants to vote. They would be risking deportation by giving the government their name and address.
It's illegal for undocumented migrants to cross the border in the first place. So
what's up?
A state like
for sure,
a state like California, where you and I both live, it's illegal for them to ID people at voting, right?
You still would need to have a residence, and you would need to have a name associated with your residence that you're giving to the federal government.
You don't need any hard proof or any hard identification with you at voting, correct?
No, you still need a established residence and a name associated with your residence, and also they even do signature checks. So technically, you would still need to have like a signature in the DMV that they can. I mean, I have my voter ballot in front of me right now.
Come on.
So they still do signature matching.
Yeah, but the whole thing with California is making it easier for people to vote, making it easier for people in lower classes to vote, and that's the whole argument, right? Is asking people to present an ID.
Banks, I'm asking you, do you think that someone who has come in here into the country illegally to work, right? Not for some like nefarious purpose of like wanting to vote for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whatever. Do you think that they are going to, one, illegally register to vote and offer their place of residence voluntarily to the federal government and the local state government specifically for the purpose of voting?
No, I don't. Not necessarily, right? I'm not going to pretend like I do know one way or the other. But
would you be shocked to find out if I were to tell you?
It poses the question to me: why relocate them to those states specifically in such? There
is no mass relocation happening. I don't know where this is coming from. The only type of relocation that has ever occurred was under the Biden administration, where Republican governor of the state of Texas, Greg Abbott, and the Republican governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, actually started, in an effort to make this a political problem for other states, they actually started a mass relocation process where people that were seeking asylum legally, which means that they have to be illegally inside of the U.S. boundaries to be able to start the process of seeking asylum, would be forcibly relocated to New York, Chicago, and a couple different areas. They were flown out. They were first bused, and then they were flown out. This technically is illegal. It would constitute for human trafficking. I was very upset with the Biden administration for not prosecuting the Republican state governors because he did not want to appear too partisan on the issue. The sole purpose of this process, and these people were, they had their court dates. They were supposed to go to, they were supposed to start the fast tracking of their processing so that they could potentially get TPS, temporary protected status, or maybe have their asylum claims denied. But instead, they were falsely told that they could have their asylum claims, processed in places like Chicago and New York, specifically because they wanted to create a political problem within blue states within blue cities. Now, the real issue in this circumstance was that there was, I believe, around 85,000 to 100,000 undocumented migrants that were shipped to these other places without prior knowledge from the other places. Like, we have enough money. We're the wealthiest nation on earth. We have enough money to take care of these claims. We have enough money to even house all of these people if we wanted to. We don't do so, but regardless, doesn't matter. We have all of the initiative. We have all the money to do so. But Greg Abbott was, in an effort to win a political argument, sending these people over to up that process deliberately, and it was pretty successful in disrupting, at least to a certain degree, normal process on the immigration front, and it became this like big political football, big political back and forth with hundreds of thousands of real human beings, basically in legal limbo as a direct consequence of this. So
Yeah,
there was no initiative from like the Democrats of like shipping migrants in the swing states or whatever. That's not real.
Well, it was highlighted on that show, and
I know, but people just say stuff. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean it's real.
That information is readily available on a government official website. Again, I'm sure there's somebody on the right who would.
No, we can look it up together if you want. I can. Hey, mods, can you take it off of emote mode? I want to see if someone can send me a link on it. Maybe there's something that I might have missed. But overall, the question that I have remains, which is that there is no purpose of sending these undocumented migrants over to other states for like any nefarious reason beyond the fact that there is probably more need for labor in these states. Like Springfield, Ohio was a big point of contention for a lot of people. If you remember when, Donald Trump was falsely saying that Haitians are eating cats and dogs. You remember that?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
So that was obviously very racist and bull, right? So
I think both sides are insane sometimes, for sure.
Yeah. So the Republicans were just like making that shit up completely.
I would say socially, I'm left leaning, and for everything else, I'm typically like in the center. I don't really not really passionate one way or the other. Obviously, you're super hyper passionate on one side, and that's why I wanted to talk to you specifically. Again, like we're going really, really deep into this immigration stuff. I'm not, again, super passionate. I'm not going to pretend like I know a ton about that. Again, the glaring part that like swayed me more to the right, more for Donald Trump in this specific conversation, this specific topic, was the fact that, the left had a lot to say about Trump.
The left is wrong. The left can be wrong. I mean, they're not even the left. Liberals, the Democratic Party is wrong.
And it would have been a little bit different if their response initially was a little bit more relaxed and like less aggressive and less like you're a racist because this is what you believe, and to walk that back all the way to the point where now you're on the same side of the
I think it's I think they were correct in their initial assessment of saying that lying about immigrants and saying that undocumented migrants constitute a national security threat, that they're doing like these crimes.
That's how you feel about their opinion 8 years ago, but now that's not what it is. So you could see how somebody like me would be.
I do, which is why I've criticized the Kamala Harris campaign quite a bit and the Democratic Party quite a bit since October 5th, 2023, I believe, when Joe Biden actually unveiled the right-wing border bill as a bill that they wanted to pass.
That's another big bullet point of why I just publicly endorse Trump and why I'd like to see Trump win tomorrow, the next day. Is just Kamala Harris in general. I'm not like super hyped. I don't think that she's necessarily qualified to be the president. She didn't.
You don't think she's qualified to be a president?
I don't.
I don't even like Kamala Harris, by the way, but I do think that she's definitely qualified to be president, especially in terms of who she's running up against. I don't think Donald Trump was qualified to be president. I think that someone who was the Attorney General of California,
Donald Trump at least won the Republican primary, right?
Yeah, but Kamala Harris had more bona fides than Donald Trump ever did in terms of like her track record. She was the Attorney General of California. California is literally a mess. Yeah, California is basically
California's a dumpster fire. It's trash.
California is not a dumpster fire and trash. California is the 5th largest economy on the planet. It is literally individually a state. It is actually not just a state. It is one of the largest states.
I'm talking about aesthetically, physically trash. You traveled.
Okay.
Right? You've been around the U.S. You've been all around the U.S.
I have been all around the United States and I've been all around the world. California, by size, by GDP, is literally a country, and not just any country, but like I believe one of the largest economies on the planet. So, California Attorney General is a pretty solid position, but beyond that, she was also a senator. I believe now it's the fourth largest economy in the world, simply California alone. But I think that being the Attorney General of California, being a senator from the state of California, is pretty good qualifications in terms of like having enough experience to run for the highest office. Donald Trump, on the other hand, was a reality TV star and had 6 bankruptcies under his belt when he ran for president. And I didn't hear people, I mean, I'm sure plenty of people said he wasn't qualified to be president, but, I don't think that Donald Trump is more qualified to be president than Kamala Harris is, for sure.
Well, he served for 4 years as president.
No, I know. And we can talk about that as well, but I'm simply stating that in 2016, when Donald Trump first ran, he had no qualifications to be president, and he still, became president. And if you think that he ran the country positively in those 4 years, then I think that someone with even more experience still has the capabilities of running for president.
Inflation was at an all-time low. People crossing the border illegally was
inflation. So inflation is actually a really good point. You're absolutely right. Inflation is at an all-time high now. This is a global phenomenon due to COVID impacting our supply chains, and America's recovery post-inflation. America's post-COVID recovery has been comparably better than many of our other European counterparts.
This is again my general issue. Again, Kamala Harris's whole entire campaign has been, and every interview I've watched from her has been Trump's bad. Trump's bad. Question: well, Trump would do it worse. Trump's awful. Trump's bad. COVID. It's COVID's fault. It's COVID and Trump's fault. That's all I've heard from the left the whole last 6 months.
What?
And again, I'm not cherry picking anything. I don't care one way or the other. I just want America to be as well off as possible, right? Like, I don't have a dog in a fight. I'm not a big political guy. I'm not a big Trump guy. I typically don't care one way or the other.
I do think Trump is bad. I think Kamala is bad too. Trump is just worse than Kamala Harris. That's my point.
But why, besides the fact that you champion the left and the left kind of has to have that opinion?
No, I'm not. I don't think the left has to have that opinion. There's plenty of people who yell at me on the liberal side of the political spectrum for not being sufficiently in the tank for Kamala Harris.
I see it.
But here's the thing, okay? In terms of Donald Trump's like COVID initiatives, I think he did spectacularly fail. We had some of the worst COVID deaths in the entire in comparison to other OECD nations. We had some of the worst death, like COVID fatality numbers overall. But that's not even what I'm going to talk about right now. What I want to go back to is the thing that you were saying about illegal immigrants, because I think it's important. As far as the undocumented migrants being like purposely transported, I think you and I agree that like people can just have the capacity to be misguided or maybe even say some shit that might not be real, right? Like Elon Musk is also certainly susceptible to this sort of misinformation and spreading it.
Yeah,
right?
But again, for why? For what? The motherfucker overpaid for Twitter by like 4 or 5x, got railed on that deal.
Yeah, I mean that was his stupidity.
But it was an attempt to protect the freedom to have a conversation.
No, he actually wanted to buy Twitter. He put forth such a large number that it would be illegal for the executives at Twitter to refuse a sale to him, and then he wanted to pull out of that deal. And the Chamber of Commerce or the courts in Delaware actually forced him to purchase this deal, despite his best efforts to not purchase it at the last second. So he definitely was forced into buying Twitter. Part of the reason why I think he's still maintaining Twitter, even though he's ran it to the ground and the bots are out of control. There's more OnlyFans models per capita in the form of bots promoting their OnlyFans under every, no matter what you're talking about. It could be Israel, Palestine, or not. And there's more like death and destruction on the timeline and more like overt Nazi sentiment being expressed on Twitter than ever before. But ultimately he was forced to buy Twitter, and now he's trying to make the most of it by, trying to change an entire platform to his own desires. It's no different than like Jeff Bezos purchasing Washington Post, right? Like billionaires buy newspapers. Elon Musk is a billionaire. He bought an entire social media platform. But there was never a real, like he never was actually interested in free speech in terms of like why he purchased Twitter. He is actually not abided by the principles of free speech that he claims he believes, even in his purchase of Twitter, regardless.
Do you have an example as to why you've come to that conclusion?
Yeah, there's plenty of examples that I can give you. I think he made saying cisgender into a hate crime on Twitter. So when you say cisgender, your speech is greatly diminished on Twitter, which is like just a normal designation. He considers it to be a slur. He doesn't have that same designation for the N-word or any of the other slurs. Also, he banned one of my friends who's a journalist. His name is Ken Klippenstein. Recently, he banned him because Ken Klippenstein had actually posted a news article that was the opposition research that the Trump administration had conducted on J.D. Vance. Because when campaigns are picking a candidate, like a vice president, they usually will be like, what are the avenues of attack? And this documentation was leaked. Ken Klippenstein posted this document, and he banned him, which is ironic because he also always claimed that Twitter was suppressing information in the last election cycle, including Hunter Biden's laptop. He's also banned numerous. He's banned numerous accounts over and over again. He banned a flight tracker account for posting publicly available FAA information. He's a petty billionaire who uses he uses platform as his own plaything.
So why, Hassan, why do you think? What do you think Elon Musk's agenda is, if not for protecting free speech and having an open dialogue?
Oh, I think he's a right-wing billionaire who wants to win favors. I think there's a couple different reasons. One, I think he has a fragile ego and he wants to be liked. Yeah, I can hear you. What'd you say?
I asked why switch now. He's historically been Democrat his whole life. Why switch now? Buy Twitter, ruffle the feathers. Why?
Okay, I think I can't speak to what's in a person's brain, right? Like I can't speak to their personal motivations. Like I will never know 100% what these reasons might be. But I do think
reasonable conclusions based on like people's like agendas, what they do for career.
Yeah. I have an assumption. If you want to hear that, if you want to entertain it, my speculation, my suspicion is that he genuinely had his brain broken a little bit from his last like divorce situation plus COVID. I think during COVID he saw the shutdowns that were happening. He saw that like the California government wasn't playing ball, and he was very upset. He didn't get his way, and I think the litany of lawsuits were piling up, and he got very frustrated. His daughter is trans. One of his 11 children happens to be a trans woman, and he has talked about how she's dead to him now. Like he literally disowned his own daughter. I think that he believes that wokeness caused her to be trans. I think that's probably one of the reasons why that like all of these reasons most likely, all of these reasons likely compiled into him finding himself in the comforts of right-wing attitude. He's also not really a good guy. I think he's always been like kind of a racist guy.
Can I ask you a question just as it pertains to like the left and wokeness and all that stuff? During COVID, during the height of COVID and the height of like the woke, like the whole woke movement, do you think things got out of control and the left got a little bit out of control?
What do you mean the woke movement during COVID?
Just in terms of like how the left would respond to certain ideas or conversations being had in terms of like targeting people and where they work and
I think it's
opinions they have, conversations.
I think that there is a universality of what you're talking about in terms of cancel culture. I think the right does it all the time as well, but it is very annoying when the left does it too. I'm someone who regularly yells about this, and I'm someone who also gets yelled at quite a bit by the left and the right for not having the appropriate standing in whatever issue they're talking about. But ultimately, I think it's a universal principle. Americans love doing cancel culture shit. It's just that the right has better marketing on this issue, so they've just like kind of made it seem like only the left does it, if that's what you're talking about. Because after October 7, when you know, Israel started pummeling Gaza, a bunch of student protesters basically came out with like detailed statements, like student groups. And immediately right after that, you had on college campuses doxing trucks. Like organizations such as like the Canary Mission literally were posterizing students with their photos and their addresses and their names, saying that they were Hamas-loving terrorists for criticizing the state of Israel. Like that kind of stuff, when it's conducted by the right wing, is never seen as like cancel culture or inappropriate. It's only when like woke campus liberals yell at some teacher, or woke campus liberals yell at someone, when everybody goes, wait, hold on, like you know, the woke leftists have gone out of hand. Republicans do cancel culture initiatives all the time. They canceled Bud Light because Bud Light had like one singular can of beer that was sent to a trans influencer, Dylan Mulvaney, and they their minds. They literally were like blowing up Bud Light beer.
Not a big fan of any of that shit, either way it goes.
Yeah, no, I think it's annoying. I agree. I'm just saying that
I have
there is
another
like,
general question. I have another general question for you, like an opinion, like looking for your opinion on America and the trajectory of America and the general like sentiment, morale, the economy, however you'd want to base an answer to this question. Do you think over the last 20 years, America has been at an incline or a decline?
I think America has been at a decline, a genuine decline in the last 20 years, and even longer than that.
Hold on. A noticeable, like massive decline, you'd say.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, Democrats were in charge for the 16 of the past 20 years, if that's what you're going to say. Yes, no, I know that that's what you were going to say. I don't know if you know this or not, but I am incredibly critical of the Democratic Party as well for these reasons.
So what do you suggest?
But that decline precedes the, or not the 16, sorry, but that decline.
12 and 16. Let me just ask them. So if not, Kamala's mantra over the last several months has been change. Obama, who I voted for twice, change. We need change. So this is the change, right? Like 12 of the last 16 years have been, you know, Democrats have been in office, and we've been in a massive decline, as you would agree. So what do you suggest, if not re-electing Trump?
For Obama twice, you said, right? 2008 was the first time Obama came in office. I don't know if you know this, but something incredibly consequential happened that actually led to America.
No larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore.
away.
Ever.
A lot of games out there have
Never,
ever. Maybe even excuse some bad gameplay. People talk about those games a lot, but what about when it's the other way around? The mechanics, the level design, all that stuff is top-notch, but the narrative is a steaming pile of, well, it's the intro, and I don't want to get demonetized for cursing the first few seconds, so hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, 10 games with good gameplay, but a bad story. Starting off with number 10, it's Stellar Blade. Now, the thing with Stellar Blade, I know people are going to be like, no. And I'm not saying the story is necessarily bad. But yes, I love this game. Yes, I think the mechanics are great. Yes, I think the graphics are great. And I mean that in more than one way. I'm not crapping on this game. But the delivery of this story is not quite up to snuff. Now, it's a throwback kind of game in a lot of ways, from progression to plot. But they went a little bit too far back when it came to translation and voice acting.
You need a wide field of view, the ability to make smart decisions fast, and
the stabilizer, scanner, and link sensors do all the work for you.
How did you?
The game is in many ways aping Nier Automata, but the Nier games have, second to none presentation. It's one of the best things about them. In fact, the original one, just plain old Nier, is a game with so-so gameplay, but a great story. I mentioned that kind of game in the intro, and I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. But like that original Xbox 360 game had a well-done script, professional voice actors, and it really came across. I'm not exactly sure who to blame for the bad voice performances in Stellar Blade, or whether it comes down to the awkward script, the direction, or whatever. Characters have very unnatural dialogue that is poorly delivered most of the time. The plot doesn't make a lot of sense when it's on the rails, and by the end, they are way off the rails. I'm not sure what's supposed to be happening. It's a derivative and poorly told story. At least the English version is. Maybe it makes more sense in Korean, I don't know. But I want to stress I don't think that's necessarily bad, because every story in a way is derivative. It's that poorly told thing that makes it real tough. Like, it's one aspect of the game that you can tell this is the developer's first big game, you know? And it's definitely forgivable. This is a fantastic game. A number of the best games ever made are not good with stories. We will talk about, obviously, at least some of them here. And I don't know that I would put it on the best game ever made pantheon per se, but this is a great game. That said, pretty much everything in Stellar Blade's story feels off. I mean, you can understand what they're saying, and some of the performances are okay, but compared to the actual gameplay, which is, like I said, pretty top-notch, the story it's just not there. It's cliched, rushed. I don't need to harp on the delivery of the dialogue anymore here. It's all just stilted, that's all. But, I mean, the sad truth is, most game stories aren't actually that good. So to make it on this list, the contrast between how good the gameplay is and how bad the story is need to be pretty stark. Like, Stellar Blade, I think, is a pretty good example to start with, because it is a hell of a game. It's got a lot of fun bosses, super fun to play, and the story's nonsense.
So this must be Adolf 7.
Yes. This was the final battlefield of civilization. It was also known as a truly colossal city.
And number 9 is Monster Hunter World. If you've seen one story in one Monster Hunter game, that's all of the stories. Oh, a new monster's messing up the environment. Better stop him. Aw, dang. Look at that new monster with the environment, the world that the monsters are in, that we hunt them in. It's a threat to that world, so we're gonna hunt them, those monsters. It's all just there to give you some weight for whatever monster it is you fight before the credits roll. That's all well and good, because the story barely matters in previous games. But for some reason, Monster Hunter World stops the game dead in its tracks, so you can have a long walk and talk. What do we talk about? How the new monster's messing up the world. and we've got to hunt the monster to save it, save the world. Oh, wait, looks like we're gonna have to stop and figure out how to stop him. In dialogue. Should we build a trap? Better follow these footsteps to investigate the clues, discover a secret of why the monster's messing up the environment. You know, nobody cares. Just give me the big monsters to hunt, and we're good. I get that giving us some characterization, it's good. It's not something that I dislike. But honestly, Monster Hunter games have excuse plots. And that's at the best of times. I don't know why Monster Hunter World had to give us all that setup, because the actual story is as paper thin as any other Monster Hunter game. It just goes on 3 times as long. All we want to do is watch cats cook food, smack big lizards with multicolored sticks, look at the cool red spider thing in the new trailer, and we do it because it's fun and the gameplay loop is super satisfying. I like getting materials from monsters to make new weapons and armor, to fight tougher monsters, to get better weapons and armor. It's great. The stories just tend to give a little color to the setting, but Monster Hunter World goes overboard with the story setup to the point of tedium. It's a good game. I want to fight the big dragon already. You don't need to sell me on it. And number 8 is Mercenaries, and man, is this a classic example of exactly what we're talking about here. So, fantastic gameplay, bare bones, and totally nonsensical story, right? Like, alright, gameplay. You got a wide variety of, like, methods of madness, wreaking havoc in this big old destructible sandbox environment. You obviously got plenty of weapons, but you also have explosives, vehicles, and combining all of these things to just unleash on this world is fun as hell. Like, the sheer range of destruction in this game, it's wild. However, the story is just a essentially capture or kill list setup. Very sparse. There's not really any depth or memorable characters. The plot boils down to a series of excuses for chaotic missions with no, like, emotional stakes. NPCs are all cardboard cutouts with forgettable is probably a nice way of putting it, but the dialogue is very, very forgettable. And the story barely evolves from start to finish. It's just like, go here, blow this up. Which, in terms of gameplay, like, that's the description of a good game. You have clear objectives, and how you do it is up to you, but it has to be leveled by the time you're done. It's exhilarating gameplay, but if you describe a story with go here, blow this up, that's pretty lackluster. The investment isn't there, and it's really hard to, like, trick yourself into it. That being said, if you're not playing it for the story, then it's a fantastic game. Mercenary shines when it lets players just dive into the chaos, you know? At number 7 is Neon White. The two sides of Neon White could not be further apart. One half of the game is a speedrunner's paradise, a brilliantly designed and unique FPS where speed and precision are the name of the game. Almost forgot what I was saying in the middle of that sentence, lost track of things, and disguised it beautifully, might I add. Of course, I did draw attention to it here, but let's move on. On the flip side, between the actual missions, you're playing essentially a visual novel with a lot of dialogue. I mean, the voice acting is very good. I mean, they got Spike Spiegel himself, Steve Blum, to play the main character, White.
Huh? I swear I was just in the middle of something. Can't remember a thing, though. Where the heck am I?
But the writing quality has some real fan fiction energy, and not in a good way. I'm not saying there's not good fan fiction out there, but this ain't it. And to be frank, it's either something you can tolerate or something you really, really cannot. The writing in general is pretty cringe-inducing, and there is, a lot of it. So, if you're actually interested in following the story in games, this is going to drag down that experience for you. And if you want to see all the possible levels, then you have to increase your relationship values with the various characters, which means you can't skip everything. And you can skip almost all of the dialogue, but not all of it. Personally, I don't hate the story or anything. I've got a pretty high tolerance for internet speak in games. But if you can't take this sort of hyperactive, overly cutesy dialogue from a bunch of too cool for school characters, Neon White's torture. I kind of had to just shut it off. Like I said, I have a high tolerance for it because I'm pretty good at tuning out. But if I didn't, I would hate it. The game is fantastic, honestly, but the writing is, let's say, divisive, to put it lightly. At number 6 is Midnight Suns. Hey, you know how everyone makes fun of the MCU, saying the movies are just tedious quip fests where everyone's just talking over each other, trying to get in their lame one-liners? A lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, those are exaggerated for effect. It is a problem in those movies, but is it as much of a problem as people like to say it? It's probably not. Midnight Suns, however, oh boy, it's that. This writing is frequently very painful. It's like what everyone imagines the worst MCU movie is in their head from the lame little title cards.
Mother. So, that's a good thing, right?
Everyone gets the painfully obvious jokes Tony Stark is making nonstop to the lame badass one-liners, you know. Nobody feels like a person. They feel like, and I'm using this term very loosely, iconic dialogue machines just blathering into a void. Once the game chills out and gets into the groove, a lot of the incidental writing is better, but the frequency of clunkers doesn't go away completely. There is a lot of writing in Midnight Suns. Every hero has tons of dialogue. There are long hangout sessions where it's just everybody spitting banter back and forth on a very shawarma-like level. And, there's so much writing that it's very hit or miss. Now compare that to the actual combat, which is Fire Axis at its absolute best. Completely different from XCOM, but has the signature polish, has a card-based movement system. It seems super odd, but once you understand it, it synergizes and the potential of everything starts to come together.
Watch closely.
It's one of the most fast-paced and fun tactical combat games out there, to be frank. And that's saying a lot. Fire Axis did a lot to revive that genre, and they are really at the top of their game here, like I said. It's not even that I don't like the in-between mission stuff. I think doing a Fire Emblem / Persona thing mixed with Marvel superheroes is a great idea, but the writing, remember I said I have a high tolerance for the kind of over-the-top stuff? I mean, I was talking about sort of ooh small bean internet speak in the last one, but I don't know. That bad MCU dialogue times 10 it tests that tolerance. Honestly, it's almost like they made this game in order to make you go back to the movies and go, I guess it's not that bad.
Do I look like someone who gives a damn about any of that?
No, you look like you should be bouncing for the double deuce.
And number 5 is Vanquish. I could fill this list with Platinum games, honestly. Their back catalog is so full of games with ropey stories but amazing kinetic gameplay. I mean, here's what made Nier Automata like their masterpiece. A guy who made a game that has a great story but kind of not great gameplay got together with Platinum Games, and they're like, we'll handle the gameplay stuff. You just keep up this insanity on the actually decent narrative side of things. But Vanquish is not that. It stands out as a bad story for a few reasons. Rather than a melee action game you usually get, it is a third-person shooter. It is on overdrive. And, I mean, it's, gameplay-wise, pretty damn good. Vanquish is Gears on steroids. And yeah, it was a time that everybody was trying to imitate Gears of War, but yeah, it's good. It's blindingly fast and intense. Rocketing around the massive arenas in a jetpack, it's so much fun.
If you go there, you should be able to flank the enemy from behind.
It's a crazy game with some real revolutionary mechanics for its time. Like, they didn't make shooters like this back then. It's almost a cross between a TPS and a bullet hell game. Like, it's still an amazing, exhilarating game that needs a sequel yesterday. But that story, woof, it ain't great. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a little tongue-in-cheek, but the balance between serious and stupid feels, well, like a misfire, let's say. Like, there's moments where you're supposed to take it seriously, and they're clearly dumb as hell, but that's not the real problem with the story. The problem is something I don't often get the opportunity to talk about. It's the pacing. And believe me, pacing is a pet peeve of mine. Bring up Rise of Skywalker with me sometime, and that's all I will talk about. But the pacing is totally screwed in Vanquish. They never let you get out of second gear because you're always starting a level, really getting into it for a few minutes, and then everything stops dead in its tracks. Different problem than Rise of Skywalker, but a problem nonetheless. I don't need another unnecessary cutscene here. And most of the time, these things do not push the plot forward at all. They could have been given as like exposition during a mission, but the amount of stopping and starting you're doing in Vanquish really brings the whole thing down. You never feel like you're really getting into it because the game never gives you a moment to breathe and just play through a level. They're always interrupting it. The pacing is stop and start, and it is relentless. I mean, that's a staple of Platinum games, to be fair, but it's not usually disruptive in this way, or especially on this level. I think the problem, though, is that the gameplay parts are so fast, and you're forced to sit there and not touch the controller and listen to people, talk like that. It just stands out and feels so bad. The fact Vanquish is still such a good game just comes down to Platinum's ability to make an action game. They just know how to make a character satisfying to play as, but actually designing levels with a proper ebb and flow is a problem they struggle with for years. Not one that I would say grinds their games to a halt in the way this one does, but it's a problem. They've struggled with it for years. It's gotten better, to be fair. Say what you will about the third Bayonetta game, but the levels are nice and long and give you a lot of uninterrupted time to just play around with the mechanics. And really,
Wait.
So annoying. I saw somebody do that shit on like 32 different characters, and I was just like, no. I ain't doing that. I do this shit like 5 times tops. 5 times. That's it. That's all I gotta do. You might say I might not have dedication, but I'm playing the game for 2 weeks. Like you brother, it's the same again. Let's hold her. The weapon. Yeah, the weapon's on the fucking cycle. Over there. Nasty fucking what the fuck? Maybe I gotta shut up my stream.
You are a soldier of the mighty Horde. A disparate band of races united in their pursuit of freedom, honor, and glory. A Horde expedition sent to explore an uncharted island has recently gone missing. As a bold new recruit,